Young offenders locked in their cells almost all day, reckless violence and staff being attacked. Those are the findings of a damning report into Feltham Young Offenders Prison. The Hounslow jail has been found to be unsafe for both staff and inmates, as Ayshea Buksh has been finding out.
For years now, the regime at Feltham Young Offenders Institution has been criticised, but levels of violence against inmates and staff is said to be at an all-time high. Charles Young has been working with young offenders who've been in and out of prison for years. As an institution, he fears for Feltham's future.
That's going to kick off big time. It's going to kick off big time. And then they're still going to blame the kids, because they haven't learned.
As an ex-offender himself, Charles takes the experience of life inside to schools to scare young people away from crime, but understands why young offenders still lash out.
You don't understand why you get so angry. You don't know what to do with that anger. So when you come out, of course, you take it out on the officers. And when they disrespect you, that's your cue. That's your key to have a go at them. And you want everyone else to look at you because you're in prison. Look at me, brother, I'm in prison, I can do it. Scared, frightened little boys.
The male prisoners range from 15 to 21 years old, and the latest independent inspection has shown they're being locked up for around 22 hours each day, with little exercise or interaction with others.
Unfortunately, in terms of trying to manage this really disruptive and violent behaviour, has put itself into a sort of negative cycle, which is punitive and just involves more and more restrictions on the ability of the boys to move around, to get into the fresh air at all, to get exercise, and most importantly, to get to school. Less than half of the boys in Feltham are actually getting to school.
The government's prison and probation service says following the report they're determined to improve safety and have created a new youth custody service. But for Charles, education is key.
At their age, 15, 16, 17, 18, they don't understand the long-term effects of prison and the benefits of an education and listening to the right people.
And the prison's inspector believes drastic action must now be taken to avoid an escalation of violence and to protect Feltham's young prisoners and overstretched staff. Ayshea Buksh, BBC London News.
Well, joining me now is the Chief Executive of the Howard League for Penal Reform, Frances Cook. Thanks very much for joining us this evening. You must be extremely concerned by this.
I think everybody in London should be very concerned about what's going on in Feltham. There are more than 100 children locked up in this prison. Many of them are locked up all day, all night, for weeks on end. And in fact, the Howard League has taken a legal case on behalf of one child who was held in solitary confinement for months, and we're awaiting a result on that. Even the children who are getting to education are only going for 7 hours a week. So this is no way to treat children. Of course they misbehave. These are young boys. They've got energy, they've got their testosterone and hormones going round. They're hungry because they're not fed very much. They never go outside. They can't even get a shower. And of course they kick off. Of course they misbehave.
So we know this.
We know this.
And we've known it for years, haven't we? I mean, 4 years ago there were reports of gang violence in the prison. Why isn't more being done? Well,
it should be closed down. We shouldn't be caging children in what is effectively a modern-day dungeon with staff who are doing their best but who are unskilled, untrained, they're not qualified to do this job, and expect it somehow to be a miracle that we turn lives around. It won't happen.
You say closed down, though. Yes. Realistically, what happens?
Well, many of the boys are on remand and many of them won't get a prison sentence when they come to court, so they shouldn't be there in the first place. For the children who require custody, there are local authority units that are successful. They're more expensive, but they work. So let's put the few who need to be in custody in local authority secure units, and the rest should be managed in the community safely. That way, Londoners would be better served, to be safer, better for victims, because we won't be creating more victims, better for the children and better for the staff.
What does it need to take, or what's going to happen for action to be taken?
We have our 5th Justice Secretary in 5 years. He's only just been appointed. I'm going to be meeting him soon. I'm hoping that he will take firm action. There's not going to be legislation anymore because there isn't time apparently, but the action can be taken. We've got to do something about protecting these children. This is a child protection issue, and we've got to do something about protecting Londoners.
Frances Cook, a worrying situation. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.